multiplied in every single creation. Pardon?
Dufin want to record
okay.
We just recorded.
Yeah. So you can see how amazing God is, right? I think in my mind, as I see all these things that God created, I think God really had a great time. He had a great and wonderful time creating all these things. And he even has even a better time when he sees that we appreciate his creations, right? So we go to the next slide.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Even the seashells. Have you guys noticed seashells? You can see the geometry in the design. God is an amazing designer. As a matter of fact, seashells and a lot of these elements, man copied in to do their architecture. You see the left hand upper corner. See that's a cut through a shell. Can you imagine how well it's designed? And to think that this thing was nothing and it just grew and grew and expanded and it became what it is. And you can see the shells all over how how amazing the design is. Lots of color, lots of shapes, and that's why I know a lot of people go out to the sea to collect seashells. And as a kid, when we live in the Philippines, we would go to the beach and we would find different kinds of shells. And at that time, it was just seashells to us. But now, as I grow older and I see all these illustrations, how amazing God we have in His creation. So go to the next one. The bees. How do they know that they can build those hexagonal in their nest in their accurately? They just built it. So you can see that even just the bees, that God gave them some kind of instinct to be able to construct beehives accurately with the same dimension, no mistakes, just millions of beehives in that shape, that hexagonal shape. Isn't that amazing? I can't even draw that accurately like this picture can show, right? Jules and I will need a tool to draw it accurately, right? T-squares and everything. So just look at it. This is another element that astounds me of how God creates things and how God allows his created things to be able to do things like this. So next slide. And this is just a capture of all the landscape scenes that I can think of. And these are all the things that God created. Every single, the water, the mountains. And I think Richard is looking at some of this right now. But for us, we just should be just happy with these pictures. It should be inspiring, right? Just how amazing God created the earth for us to enjoy and to admire and to appreciate how amazing creation he did. Let's go to the next slide. So now we've seen plants, we've seen seashells, we've seen the bees and all the other elements. Let's look at ourselves, how God created us. When God created Adam and Eve, he gave them eyes, not just regular eyes. According to the study, this eyes that he gave us has 224 million pixel vision quality. Man hasn't been able to create a camera that sharp. On the next one, the veins, a 40,000 km web. That means our entire body has vessels, blood vessels, 60,000 miles of it goes through each of our body. Can you imagine 60,000 different veins and vessels in our body from our head to our toe? I tried to analyze how far you can go, how much it'll take you to drive 60,000 miles. And the calculation says it will take you 2 months to drive 60,000 miles from here to wherever. So that's the veins. This is the veins that go from our heart to our feet that keep us alive, right? Our body is truly amazing. And then the kidney. It has the ability of a 1.2 million filtering unit. It cleanses everything from our body, and it filters the dirty stuff out, and it keeps us all alive, right? That's pretty amazing. Let's go to the next one. That's the brain, the human brain. We make a big deal about AI, right? Artificial intelligence. Well, I looked at the brain and I said, this is a GCI, God created intelligence. So, some interesting facts about the brains. Energy consumption. The brain comprises about 2% of the body's total weight, but uses 20% of its energy. The high energy demand is crucial for maintaining cognitive functions and processing information. 2, neurons and connections. The human brain has approximately 86 billion neurons, each capable of forming thousands of connections, leading to an estimated 1 quadrillion synapses. This intricate network all owes for complex communication and processing. So that this brain that God gives us ability to think intelligently, to understand not just mathematics, but emotions and everything else. So this brain is composed about 73% water. And even a 2% hydration can impair cognitive function. The storage capacity, it says the brain storage capacity is considered virtually unlimited. It can adapt and reorganize itself through a process called neuroplasticity, allowing for learning and memory formation. So, and then the fat content is the fattest organ in the body, 60% dry weight being fat. So that's our brain. Can you imagine all of us as this up our head? And God has created in such a way he has a skull that contains that brain to protect it, because that's the vital thing, right? And so we have this thing about understanding from our head to our heart, right? So let's go to our heart. So that's the human heart. That's the thing that makes us tick all over, right? What interesting fact is that the human heart weighs less than 1 pound, and it is the size of a fist. Can you put a fist and put it on your upper lip? That's the size of your heart. That's like an Energizer battery that has been keeping you alive since the day you were born until this very day. This heart is something that is truly an amazing machine. It's a live machine, and the Bible has always used the head and the heart to express certain ideas. And of course, we remember Psalms 51:10 when David, in his remorsefulness and repentant heart, came to write this and said, "Create in me a pure heart, O God, a renewed and steadfast spirit within me." So the heart is actually something that we all remember biblically, right? That David is a man after God's own heart. And so this is an amazing, one of the few amazing, all the organs in our body need each other, but the heart and the brain, to me, are the vital ones. And so just looking at this closely reminds us of how an amazing machine we are, how an amazing creation we are, that God created us in his likeness. So even Jesus Christ has a heart, has a brain, has a kidney, just like the rest of us, right? And so this is an amazing thing to ponder upon. Let's go to the next slide. So God is in the details, in the smallest details, from the microscopic stuff that we can't see with our human eyes to the things that we see with our human eyes, right? Let's go to the next one. So this is the end of the slide, but I just wanted to capture this essence that God already knows every detail of today. And so because he knows every detail, he knows our tomorrow and to come and everything. Don't let worry rob you of his blessings. Instead of be open-minded and handed to what God is going to do in your life. So if we just look at the Bible stories that we learn from our young age, that truly God is in the detail, I can come up with a few, and I'm sure you can come up with a lot more. I can think of God being in the detail when he thought of supplying Abraham a ram for sacrifice, when he asked him to sacrifice Isaac to test his faith. I can think of God being in the detail when he provided the 5 little stones for David when he was preparing to face Goliath. I'm thinking of how God was in the detail when he put a little girl, Jewish girl, in the family of Naaman, and how, because of that, the Jewish girl was able to convince Naaman that his leprosy can be cured if he just trusted God. I can see in the detail how detailed God is, that he says, dip in the river 7 times, not 5, not 6, but 7 times. He's very specific. God is very specific. And I can see how in the little details that God can use to create miracles when he used, 3 loaves of bread and 2 pieces of fish to feed 5,000 people. It's just amazing. If you just look at details like that in the Bible. I thought of something, that the sycamore tree that Zacchaeus climbed on, God planted it years and years ago, knowing that eventually Zacchaeus will have to climb that tree to see Jesus. And because of being able to see Jesus, his life took a turning point. So God is in the details. And I can share with you personal testimony, how I can see God in the details in my life. I shared with everybody a couple years ago when I had my knee surgery. On my way there, the Uber driver of all people had the same doctors as I was going to see. I can also see the detail how God worked in Zena's life recently, how all the tests and all this x-rays and EKGs and echocardiogram and angiogram showed that she had triple vessel blockage, and that when the doctor finally went in, they couldn't find anything. And I said, how can the machines be wrong? How can 3 machines, different readings, be wrong? And I concluded that God took care of the details. God took care of it. He is truly in the detail. So let's close with Psalms 8. It just reads here, Lord our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory in the heavens. Through the praises of children and infants, you have established a stronghold against your enemies, to silence the foe and the avengers. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have set in place, what is mankind that you are mindful of them, human beings that you care for them? You have made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. You made them rulers over the works of your hands. That's an amazing Psalms that acknowledges God's glorious creation and how he loved us as an amazing God. So that's the end of our sharing, and we will have now our hymn of response, which I think is very appropriate